Verasity Multivac Trias Price Analysis. Use the tags down below to skip to your favorite project. Are you ready? Let's go. If you have not seen my recent Bitcoin price analysis video, I will link that to you at the end of this video. It's very important to have a decent handle on what Bitcoin's doing in order to understand any of these three coins. For Verasity, it's very similar idea of Bitcoin. It's dealing with the potential very bearish cross. This red line right here is the weekly 10. This blue line is the weekly 55, even though I'm not on the weekly chart. I have these indicators on here, even though I'm on the 1 hour chart. It is battling with the cross of this, and it's trying to avoid it. This cross of the 10 going below the 55 often can spell large trouble for both Bitcoin. So this same cross is getting ready to happen on Bitcoin and all of altcoins. And it either can lead to a fast and hard capitulation, which recovers very fast, or it can lead to extended downturns with many tries back to the upside that end up failing lower high after lower high, lower high. It often is the beginning of the second half of a bear market. And that's exactly how the second half of the 2014 and 2018 bear market started off with this exact cross. So it's very important, if things are going to get hot again, that both cryptocurrencies across the board, which are in the same predicament as Bitcoin. Let's zoom in so you can see this same predicament. I mean, it's within a very, very small percentage, right? It's 3% away. It doesn't mean right as it crosses, everybody's going to sell. No, that's not how it works. It doesn't necessarily capitulate in the exact second of the cross. Rather, the long-term effect is, it has never been good in any cryptocurrency or Bitcoin history. It's never been good. Therefore, with Verasity, you can clearly see that the weekly 10 is acting as general resistance right now, and the weekly 55 is acting as general support. Therefore, the range resolution of this might happen sooner than later. If Bitcoin resolves to the downside, without going much lower than 40K, I would say Verasity comes and tags 2.63 to revisit. And that 2.63 is where the happy range. Okay, so these are totally different ranges. Happy range meets the bleed box, and it would likely come revisit that in the event that Bitcoin breaks down out of its current range. If Bitcoin were to break up and out of its range, I think it's a pretty clear price point that Verasity is going to visit for almost 4.5. It'll probably wake up to 4.5 cents, and that would be my price target to the upside. And since Verasity is so violent, it could meet either of these, actually right here, either of these price points rather quickly and rather violently. Now, there is a small chance that Verasity would bleed against Bitcoin, and instead of being held at 2.6, if Bitcoin only goes down to 40K, Verasity could easily revisit 2.3 because there is an origin line here, and it could. So that would be I have three price targets. To the upside, I would say, and again, if Bitcoin resolves itself to the upside, about 4.5 cents, 4.5. To the downside, I have two different targets, either 2.6 or I would say something more like 2.3 cents, 2.3 or 2.6, and it's all going to depend on Bitcoin. So you need to keep your eye definitely on Bitcoin's resolution of which way it's going to go. All right, let's move on to Multivac.
Give me the thumbs up. Thumbs up. Thumbs up.
All right, we're going to get to Multivac now. Multivac is using both of these lines a little bit differently. Let's go to the 1 hour chart. You can see here that in order to attempt to avoid this nasty cross with the weekly 10, which is the red going below blue, essentially, it got on top of that and is usually using the blue line as support. So if you are a fan of Multivac, really one of the best analyses that you could do is draw in a box range between, I'll actually write this in, 1.2 to 1.45 cents. I would create that as upwards resistance. That would give you this replica of that green box right there. And then simply throw on your weekly 55 EMA. You can almost even take off the weekly 10. And that is the price of Multivac is using the bottom of this, so 1.2 cents as upward resistance, and it's using specifically the weekly 55 as support right now, and so is Bitcoin. But Bitcoin's weekly 10 is way up here. So because Multivac's weekly 10 is so close to the weekly 55, actually that's the monthly, it is deciding, hey, we need to find resistance up here, and that's what is bringing people to sell, is the very important horizontal up here, and therefore the way that Multivac is responding to this potential very bearish cross is using both as support, because it's much closer to crossing than Veracity's was. So it got above both. You need to check. Now, if if Bitcoin resolves itself to the downside, Multivac will go below this weekly 55, which right now is under a penny. It's just under a penny, and Multivac will very likely find itself at .0085. .0085 would be the very extremely obvious target. However, if it bleeds versus Bitcoin, if Bitcoin goes down to 40K and Multivac bleeds versus Bitcoin, it would go lower than .0085, and it would likely hit a trend line here, and it would likely find itself .0075. So either .0075 or .0085 are my lower end targets for a resolution on Bitcoin to the upside. Now, if Multivac were to break up with, assuming Bitcoin breaks up, I would say that Multivac would have a strong chance to wick decently above 1.45 cents at the top of this range. I think it could potentially wick above it and use this as support. If Bitcoin went all the way up to 50K, which would be the 50 to 52K would be my target for Bitcoin resolving itself to the upside. Verasity would probably, it would actually eventually land on 1.45 cents, but I think it would go significantly above it, perhaps up to 1.7 cents, and then come back down to use this as support. Because, I think it would go above and use that as support in the event that Bitcoin goes up to 50K. Now let's go on to Trias. For Trias, you need to throw on, really these weeklies are not in play very much, so I would throw on something to the effect of the 4-hour 200 EMA. This is the 4-hour 200 EMA. And it's right now dealing with a horizontal of let's call it 5.5 cents. And you need to draw a horizontal at 5.5 cents, throw in your 4-hour 200 EMA, and that is going to be your range resolution. If you can see Trias get back above, actually you might want to throw on the weekly 10 because it did get above and used it as support. What was it dealing with? Throw on your weekly 10 as well. I would say this could end up being the upper range because if Trias tries up one more time, it's going to go above its 4-hour 200, but it's going to get blocked and have heavy resistance at its weekly 10. So you might throw on two different EMAs, the weekly 10 EMA, the 4-hour 200 EMA, and draw this horizontal at $5.5, and this will likely end up being the range that it plays in as Bitcoin's playing around. If Bitcoin breaks below its current weekly 55 and then heads down to 40K, I could see Trias easily hitting $4.5. It'll probably hit it right on the nose and give a bounce as Bitcoin's bouncing right around, 40K and change, 40,500. If Bitcoin were to resolve itself to the upside on a lower time frame, you would see Trias price go specifically above the weekly 10, use it as support, and then try a little higher, maybe even as high as $11.70. I think it would give a try up to $11.70. Follow me on Twitter, 𝘾𝙤𝙣𝙣𝙠. Turn on your camera and microphone and ask me questions directly and live up to 8 times a week with your, again, camera and microphone on straight to my face. And if communities are not your thing because you don't have the time to commit, then hit the join button below this video and another video will pop up showing your options to get exclusive content above and beyond what I offer on YouTube. Click this video if you want to check out my Bitcoin analysis from today. It's a 3-minute summary, and click this video if we want to learn how to set up a chart just like mine, and click the circle in the middle if you're new to my channel. You just got Timothy Worldwide. Peace.